Welcome to another episode of Success in the Classroom. We're very excited to be here today at Baghdad Elementary in their Media Center, where the wonderful Miss Jennifer Mayhair serves as Media Specialist. Joining me today is Miss Ruth Witter. Miss Witter serves as Santa Rosa County District Schools Library Media and Instructional Technology Specialist. So welcome, Miss Witter.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Happy to be here today.
Wonderful. We're going to dive right in. This is such an amazing media center, and I thought it was very appropriate that we be here for the topic
absolutely.
at hand, library books. So before we get into all of that, talk to us a little bit about what falls under your scope of responsibilities as the district's library media contact.
Absolutely. So primarily my job is to support our library media specialist in our district. And that's done through professional development, through many different, just essentially the best way I can say it is whatever they need my help with.
Okay.
Again, including professional development. Of course, lately this year, there's been a lot of legislative changes in our state from the Department of Education. And so a big part of my role lately has been interpreting and helping Santa Rosa County implement those requirements in the very best possible way.
Okay, so since you brought up Department of Education, let's just dive right in. I certainly, want to take a little bit of our discussion today to try to help dispel any speculation or misinformation related to new changes regarding library books or titles. Is there a banned book list from the Florida Department of Education?
There is currently no banned book list from the Department of Education.
Okay, wonderful. So now that we got that out of the way,
yes.
When a student goes to the library, what happens? When they walk in and they want to get a book, what does that process look like? Can you walk through that with us?
Absolutely. So that looks a little different depending on the school and really the age band. So like in elementary school, for example, a lot of those elementary classes are in a wheel rotation in the same way that they go to art and music. They'll come to the library. Typically when they come to the library, they get an amazing lesson from their librarian that has to do with anything from STEAM initiatives to maybe information literacy, reading promotion, just too many things to list of what's happening in our library media centers. But part of that includes checking out books. So students do have time where they come in and they get to self-select the book that they want.
Okay.
And then in middle school and high school, it's a little bit more of a challenge to get our kids into the library media center. That happens typically maybe as a part of a class like ELA, or a lot of times those students really have to seek out going to the media center when they want books to read. So they can typically do that in the morning, lunchtime, after school, a break in classes.
Okay.
So, But all of our library media centers in our school district, they are developed by their age-appropriate grade band. So like our elementary school libraries are intended for our elementary school students, middle is for middle school, and high school is for high school.
Okay. So what procedures do we have in place here in Santa Rosa County, let's say, for example, to keep a sixth grade middle school student from being able to just randomly go into a library and check out something that's geared toward a young adult?
Absolutely, that's a very good question. So first of all, let me be clear, there are no YA novels in our elementary school. So I think that's important to say. That would be inappropriate, and we do not have that in our library media centers here. Middle school, I always call them the special area of school libraries because they're right there in the middle. They're between elementary and between high school. And they have books that are appropriate for both age. So for example, like a sixth grade student, they're probably not going to be reading the YA books that you mentioned. So what our middle school librarians do is they have books that are considered YA. They have them off in a special section, and they do require the parents' permission to check out books from that area. And that is monitored, that is tracked. We do things within our library system to identify both the students and the content so that we can ensure that our students that don't have a YA permission slip on file so that they do not get a book from that section. And by the way, too, it is a privilege. So for our students that do have permission, if they are sharing those books, because I know this is a concern that comes up sometimes, if they do share that book with somebody who does not have a YA permission slip on file, that is a permission that or privilege that can be taken back if they don't follow
good
the
to
rules
know.
with that. So we
That's
really
good to
do our
know.
best to ensure that those books stay with the kids that they are intended for.
Okay. Now you talked, you mentioned briefly about, just some of those permissions, like the YA parent permission. I know that through our Fall at Destiny, parents have an option to go in and maybe set some controls for their students as far as like what they're reading or what they have access to. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So there's two parts to that. So the first part is actually if they want to select an access level for their students, we will make that selection in Destiny. But for a parent to do that, we ask that they go to the district website on our library media services link, which is under the resources tab on the Santa Rosa County School District website. And on there's a link to a form, and the form has just asks some very basic questions, and from that form, we will reach out to the parent to see exactly what they don't want their kid to have access to. And then we will make that notation in Destiny so that when they do come to the desk to check out a book, we have that request from the parent and it will pop up on the screen so that whoever is checking out the book to that student will see that request.
Okay.
And then additionally, like all of our students in their Rapid Identity, they have a link to our library catalog. So not only can you see all of the books that are available in the Library Media Center, but you can do whenever you click on that link while you're logged in as a student in Rapid Identity, you can see that student's account. So you can look at books that the kid has had in the past or the student has had in the past. You can even maybe choose some books together and make a resource list of books that maybe you want to read together as a family.
That's wonderful.
Which is a great thing to do together as a family.
So ultimately a pretty transparent process.
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
Okay.
We definitely want our parents engaged. We would love for our parents to be a part of our reading initiatives here in Santa Rosa County.
Wonderful. Now, you made mention of, going into Fall at Destiny account and being able to, see a catalog of books that are available in the Media Center. That kind of brings me to, all of the wonderful classroom libraries that our teachers have. And we know that teachers over the years, the longer you work, the bigger your classroom library has the potential to get. And oftentimes new teachers that come on board, you have retiring teachers that say, here, I'm going to donate my classroom library to you. I know that there's some new things happening in our district to ensure that our classroom libraries are also meeting certain requirements that our school libraries are meeting. So can you just talk to us through that process? What's happening there?
Yeah, absolutely. So this goes back to one of those responsibilities of trying to implement the things that the DOE requires of us. And one of the things that the DOE is requiring is that all of our books that are available for student use in a classroom library need to be online and searchable for our parents and for our community to be able to see.
So again, for transparency.
Again, for transparency.
Okay.
And again, we want our parents engaged, so our issue is not loading those classroom libraries, like having them be transparent. Our challenge is getting them loaded. It's a lot of work because as you mentioned, teachers get books from everywhere and they've been building their collections for a very long time. So it's a big task. That's the barrier right now.
Okay.
Just getting all of those online in an efficient way where people can search them. We don't have anything to hide in the classroom libraries. We want to get those things out there. It just takes time and it takes processes.
Okay.
So with that being said, the requirement is for elementary to be online, but we expect that that's also going to apply to our middle schools and high schools. So we're going to go ahead and include them in this initiative too of getting all of our classroom libraries uploaded.
Being a little proactive.
Right, absolutely. Okay. Just because we want to know what's in our classroom libraries, and again, going back to transparency, it gives us a little bit more of a systematic approach if we go ahead and include those middle school and high schools. Just get them all scanned, get them uploaded, and get them available online.
Okay, so I know we have a lot of district and personnel and itinerant staff that have signed up with you. It was our pleasure to, hey, we're willing to go in and just take this extra piece off the teachers having to worry about, scanning books in and things like that. And I know we have a big team of people that will be going into the schools to help with that. But when books are scanned in the classroom, talk to our stakeholders a little bit about books that are easy to scan, and then those books that may not be easy to scan.
Absolutely. So, again, this is a very big task, a very big undertaking, because, thinking in elementary, we have 19 elementary schools, I believe. Every single elementary classroom has a classroom library, and we have many, somewhere on average 20 to 25 in most of our middle and high schools, sometimes even more. So that's a lot of classroom libraries, and we love those classroom libraries that are across our district, and we want to keep them. So with that, we have started an initiative called All Hands on Deck, and with that, we recruited willing district staff members to go out to school locations and to just help with that initial load and to try to get as many books loaded and online as possible, and to really help as many teachers as possible that want us to come in and support them. And so I've been out practicing. I've been practicing at Baghdad. I appreciate, again, the librarian here, Jennifer Mayhair. She's been working with me so that we can predict some of the things and some of the challenges that we may run into as we're going into these classroom libraries. And so right now our only goal is to get these books uploaded and online. And so when we were doing this, we realized that there were some challenges. So for example, I'm just going to kind of show you on the back here. So whenever we're scanning, we're using an app, and it's called LibBib. And this is what we're using to add the book to that classroom library list. And majority of the books, I'd say, probably 90% of books are going to have this on there, where we can scan it and upload it and no problem. But there are some books that don't have one. And so it makes it a little bit more of a challenge for us to be able to load those books, and so they take a little bit more time to add. And since the goal is to get as many uploaded as possible and to help as many teachers as possible, on the first initial load with our initiative All Hands on Deck, we're going to scan every book that is scannable.
That is scannable.
And if it's not scannable, we're just going to put it aside. We are not removing it. We are not telling the teachers to get rid of them. We are just asking that they be put aside for now so that we can reevaluate after this first time is done with all of that initial loading and scanning and see where we need to go from there to get those books loaded. And again, this is something, when I say all hands on deck, I mean all hands on deck. It's going to take this initiative that we're doing, but it's going to take work after that too.
Right.
And we're still working through and evaluating and trying to figure out exactly what that looks like at each school. And for some schools, it may be different. They may do that with teachers. Some teachers may want to add their own stuff. They may do it with paraprofessionals. We may go back out again for another round. But the big thing here and the key here is that, again, we love our classroom libraries here.
Right.
We want to keep them, but we also want our teachers to feel supported, and we want them to know that they're not in this alone. And so, it's been my challenge to try to come up with a way that we can support our teachers and we can keep those classroom libraries in an efficient way. And so that's kind of where we're at with stuff, but we're not removing any books from classroom libraries or anything. Now, with that being said, just any this is inclusive of library media centers and classroom libraries. The big concern is just making sure that the content is appropriate for the classroom that it's in.
Correct.
And I think it is. So as far as any kind of evaluation goes, that's our primary goal, is just to make sure that if a book is in an elementary classroom library, that it's appropriate for an elementary classroom.
Right.
Okay, and so that's our key focus there. But there are other things that we try to look at in terms of like collection development and collection management. And I kind of think of it like cleaning out my closet. Like if you have too much stuff that's like old, and, maybe it doesn't fit anymore, like maybe it's time to kind of part ways with some of that stuff. So, that's kind of where we're at with stuff.
It's happening here in spring, so it's almost like a spring cleaning.
Absolutely, that's a good
to
point.
some degree.
I didn't even think about it being spring.
Yeah. So I know your time is very valuable, and we have very, very busy afternoons. But I do want to ask, because I think this is very big, and I want our stakeholders to know what processes we have in place here in Santa Rosa County. If a parent, stakeholder, citizen, if they want to challenge a book title or they have concerns about a specific book title, what do they need to do?
Absolutely. So again, back on the school district's website under Library Media Services, there are all the instructions there for asking us to reconsider material. And by the way, that's any material. That's a library book. Once the classroom library books are loaded, we'll be able to see those too. Those can be asked for reconsideration. It's also instructional material. So we have that very solid reconsideration process on that's a part of Santa Rosa County that's on our district website.
Okay.
I am happy to help anybody with it, and we welcome anybody to do it. You know, there's a lot of different books out there, and while we really aim to develop our libraries to be age appropriate, that's not to say that somebody is going to question a material that's in a library media center or a classroom library. So we do have that really strong process in place in Santa Rosa County.
Okay. Ms. Witter, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That was a lot of information, but I think very important information just so that everyone knows our process. We do try our very best here in Santa Rosa County to be transparent, so I certainly appreciate your time today. And we certainly want to give a big thank you to Ms. Jennifer Mayhair, Library Media Specialist here at Baghdad Elementary School, as well as the administration and faculty and staff of Baghdad for letting us come in and use their space today. So, hey, guys, we'll see you next time on Success in the Classroom.